Okay, question 1 says, work out the shaded area on the centimetre grid. State the units of your answer. Okay, so basically if it's on a centimetre grid, all you need to do is count the number of squares. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 13 shaded squares. So that's 13, and then of course the units of your answer would be centimetres squared, because we're on about an area. Okay, question 2 says write 23,450 to the nearest thousand. So, 23,450 to the nearest thousand, well, it comes in between 23,000 and 24,000. Halfway would be 23,500, so it's obviously not reached halfway, so it's closer to round down to 23,000. Next one says write down all the 2-digit numbers that can be made using the digits 1, 5 and 7. Each digit can be repeated, so we can have the number 11 if it can be repeated, 15, 17, 51, 55 and 57, and then 71, 75 and last 77. Okay, moving on to question 3. It says measure the radius of this circle in centimetres. So the radius, of course, you've got to know, which is distance from the centre of the circle to the edge of the circle. So you pick up your ruler, measure 0 from this end to this end. And I think it works out as being 2.7 centimetres. Measure or work out the diameter of the circle in centimetres. Well, you should know that the diameter is double the radius, because it goes from there to here. So that's 2.7 times 2, which gives us 5.4. Write down a formula in words connecting the diameter and the radius. So therefore we have diameter equals radius times 2. Okay, moving on to question 4. The episodes of a TV soap are each 50 minutes long. Ryan watches 3 episodes together. How long is he watching TV for? Give your answer in hours and minutes. So he watches a programme that's 50 minutes long, and of course he watches 3 of them. So that's 150 minutes. We know that there's 60 minutes in an hour, so that's 60 plus 60, which makes 120. So another 60 would be 180, so I can't reach 180 from 150 minutes. So 60 and 60 is 120. That leaves me another 30 minutes. So that's 1 hour, 2 hours, and 30 minutes. So 2 hours and 30 minutes. Okay, question 5. 30 students were asked to draw a circle or a square and colour it in, and here are their results. How many blue circles were drawn? So look along, there's the colour blue, and here's the colour circle. So this is the number that applies for a blue circle. So that would be an answer of 5B. How many squares were drawn all together? So we had 6 red squares, 3 blue squares and 2 green squares. So if we add together 6, 3 and 2, we get an answer of 11. Okay, moving on to question 6. 44% of the students in a school are boys. What percentage are girls? So we should know that the percentage adds up to 100. So if I just take away the 44 that are boys, I'm left with 56 girls. And of course you've got your calculator, so into your calculator and you shouldn't go wrong. 6B. A bottle is full of water. 30% of the water is poured out. Okay, so let's just deal with this first of all. So if it's full, it means 100% of the bottle is full and 30% poured out. so that would leave us with 70% left in the bottle. Half of the remaining water is then poured out, so a half of 70% would be 35%. So if a half's poured out, that leaves a half left in it, which is again 35%. Okay, question 7. The diagram shows the first part of a board game. Roll an ordinary fair six-sided dice upon the start. Move the number of places shown by the dice. Circle the word that describes the chance of landing on a black of your first move. Of course, the biggest number that we can throw on a dice is 6, so I could get to this stage here. So if I was going to land on a black, I'd say there's 1, 2, there's 3 chances that I could land on a black, and of course out of 6, if we six-sided the dice. So 3 out of 6 is a half, so evens is the word that describes something that's a half. Circle the word that describes the chance of landing on a grey of your first move. Well, going back to here and counting along how many greys we've got, we actually haven't got any greys, so therefore the chance of landing on a grey would be impossible. Okay, moving on. Question 7. 8, sorry. No, 7C. Beth starts the game. She lands on black on both of her 2 moves. Write down 2 possible pairs of moves, pairs of numbers that she could have rolled. So, she could have rolled a 1 in her first roll, and then a 5, so that would be on square 6, which you've just seen is black. She could have rolled a 4 on the first roll, and a 2, so that she'd end up on the 6 as well. She could also, of course, throw a 1 and then a 3, because the 4th square is also black, and she could also roll a 6 and then a 5, because if you look at the 11th square is also black. So she could have rolled a 6, landed on a black, and another 5 to land on a black as well. Okay, question 8. Use your calculator to work out the 2 numbers in the list that are multiples of 7. A multiple has to be in the times table of this number 7, with no remainder. So therefore, what we need to do is divide all of these numbers on your calculator by 7 and find out which ones are the whole number. The ones that show a whole number answer means that 7 must go into it exactly. So in your calculator, the answer ends up being that one. That comes out as a whole number. And this one. This one comes out as a whole number as well. These, of course, would be decimals, so therefore they're not in the 7 times table. Use your calculator to work out the 2 numbers in the list that are factors of 1001. So that's a factor. Okay, so that means a number that goes into 1001 exactly. So again, we divide 1001 by each of these numbers. Okay, and we see which one again comes out as whole numbers. That means that if it is a whole number, then that number would go into 1001. So that one comes out as a whole number, so therefore 7 must go into that. And this one comes out as a whole number, so 11 must be a factor of 1001 as well. These all show decimals, so therefore then these are not factors of 1001. Okay, question 9. It says, Claire has divided a garden into 8 equal sections. She wants to plant flowers in each section so that the colours are symmetrical. Complete this diagram so that there are 4 sections that are red and 4 sections that are blue. The colours have symmetry about the mirror line. So if we've got a blue here, then if this is the mirror line and I reflect this blue in the mirror line, of course it has to be equal distance away. So therefore, this square would also be a blue. Same method, if this is a red, the same distance the other side of the mirror line, would mean that also that square must be red as well. Okay, so 4 sections are red, so we've only got 1, 2 that are red, so I could put a red here, and of course if it's going to be symmetrical, reflect it in the line, it will be a red there. And 4 sections are blue, so I need a blue here, and if I'm going to reflect it, a blue would have to go there as well. So we couldn't have a red there or red there, because it wouldn't be symmetrical. It has to be red, red, blue, blue. Fill in the diagram so that 4 sections are red and 4 sections are blue. The colours have symmetry about both mirror lines A and B. Okay, so this time we've got to be careful because now there's 2 mirror lines. So if I put a red here, that means in this mirror line it would have to be reflected there, and in this mirror line it would have to be reflected there, and then of course this one now has to be reflected in this one, so all my reds would now go in the corners, leaving the 4 blues in the middle. Okay, moving on, question 10. 12 litres of drink is made by mixing water with 3 litres of orange juice. What fraction of the drink is water? Give your answer in its simplest form. Well, if we start with 12 litres of a drink, and we put in 3 litres of orange juice, to find out how much water there is, we do 12 litres take away the 3 litres, which leaves us with 9 litres. So of course if it says fraction, don't forget then it would be 9 out of, well the total was 12 litres, and cancel it down, and don't forget if it's calculator paper, you can put 9 out of 12 in your calculator and press equals, and of course it will show you 3/4. Okay, question 11. It says, complete the formula for each of the following. The area of a square with a side of x. So make sure that you use the same letter that they're giving you, which is x. So we know that the area of a square with sides x and x, we times the 2 sides together. And in algebra, if there's 2 letters being times together that are the same, we say x squared. The volume, so if I've got a volume of a cube that measures y by y by y, all the same letter of course because the cube, all lengths of the sides are the same. So y times y times y gives us the volume of a cube, and in its simplest form, y times y times y, a letter times itself 3 times would give me y cubed. Okay, moving on, question 12. Tick whether each statement is true or false for this rectangle. So we've got a length of 8 centimetres and a width of 4 centimetres. The length is 4 times the width. Well, if we multiply the width by 4, I get 16, so false. The area is 32. To find the area of a rectangle, I multiply 8 by 4, and 8 times 4 is 32, so that one would be true. The perimeter is 32. For perimeter, you add all the sides of a shape together. So in this case, it would be 8 plus 8, which is 16, 4 plus 4, which is 8, and 16 plus 8 gives us 24. So that one there would be false. The rotational symmetry has an order of 4. Well, if it's an order of 4, that means quarter of a turn, 90 degrees, it would look the same. And of course we'd have a long, thin rectangle that looked like that. So that doesn't look the same, but it would look the same if I turned this shape half a turn and back to the beginning. So that would only give me an order of 2 for a rectangle. So false, because it's not got an order of 4. The width is 50% the length. Well, 50% you should know is a half. So a half of 8 is 4. So that one would be true. And the ratio of length to width is 2 to 1. Be careful how they word it. Length to width. So the longest side, which is 8, to the shortest side, which is 4. And yes, 8 to 4 does cancel down 2 to 1. So that is also true. Okay, moving on. Question 13. Solve 8x equals 32. Well, 8x means 8 times x, which has to give me an answer of 32. So what number can I multiply x by? Sorry, what number can I multiply 8 by to get an answer of 32? You could do the opposite, 32 divided by 8, which gives you an answer of 4. Next one, solve y take away 9 equals 14. Well, the opposite of take away 9 is add 9. So 14 plus 9 makes 23. And finally, w divided by 3 is 7. So same method, if I was going to do the opposite of divide 3, I would do 7 times 3, therefore 21. And of course, with solving equations, you should check your answers. So if that's 4, put it in. 8 times 4, yes, does give 32, so you must be right. Is 23 take away 9, 14? Yes, so you must be right. And is 21 divided by 3, 7? Yes, so we must be right. And of course, you've got your calculator to be checking these as well. Question 14, it says you will need a protractor to answer this question. The pie chart shows the types of film showing at a multiplex cinema. There are 3 comedy films. How many films were shown altogether? So we need to figure out what degree comedy is. If that's worth 3 films, I need to figure out the degrees that the 3 films represent. So we need a protractor. So the middle. Rotate around, make sure the line is being covered by 0. Okay, and then this line here, so it goes up. So reading from the outside, because 0 is on the outside, it actually measures at 60 degrees, this angle. Okay, that angle there is 60 degrees. So down here I can say then that 60 degrees is 3 films. Okay, so we've got 360 degrees in total in a pie chart. So how many times does 60 go into 360? And of course it's 6. So you multiply 3 by 6 to find the total amount of films, which would be a final answer of 18 films. How many more romance films are showing than comedy films? So romance, well, action is half of the amount. So we've got half of 18 in total. That will give us 9 action films. We know we've got 3 over here. So now if it's 18 in total, take away 9 for action, take away 3 for comedy. That gives us a total of 18, take away 12, which gives an answer of 6. Okay, but be careful with the wording of the question. How many more romance films are shown in comedy? So 6 take away 3 gives you a final answer of 3. Moving on, question 15. Here are 2 adverts for the same type of bread. We've got 800 grams loaf for the normal price of £1.36. You buy 1 loaf and you get a second loaf half price. This offer says 400 gram loaf, the normal price is 92p, but if you buy 1 you get 1 free. Which is cheaper, 2 800 gram loaves or 4 100 gram loaves? So you must show your workings. So we've got to have 800 gram loaves for this one. So this is just working out what this would cost. So the normal price for a loaf is £1.36. So 800 gram loaves. We've got £1.36. And then the next one is half price. So a half of £1.36 is 68p. So if I add these 2 together in my calculator, we get a total of £2 and 4p. So that's that one done. Now we need to figure out how many 400 gram loaves cost. So if I want 4 loaves, I buy one, I get one free, so that gives me 2. I have to buy another and another one free. So in fact, to get 4 loaves, I only have to pay for 2 loaves. So that would be a 92p, add another 92p, which gives me, in the calculator of course, it would give 184p, which we can convert into pounds, put the decimal point in between the 1 and the 8 to turn 184p to £1.84. So of course, which is cheaper? So it would be the 400 gram loaves would be cheaper. Make sure you show all your workings. This is worth 5 marks. So each individual step, what you did, always needs to be shown, remember. Okay, moving on, next question, 16. There's a conversion graph to convert dollars into pounds. Okay, so 16a says use the graph to convert £5 into dollars. So, pick up your ruler, we need £5 into dollars. We draw a line from 5 up and hit the line and across. So £5 is the same as $8. Okay, so 16b says she needs to convert £500 into dollars at the rate shown on the graph. Well, we've just worked out that £5 is the same as $8. So therefore, if she needs £500, I have obviously got 2 zeros on the end of the 5 to make 500. So same goes for the 8. Put 2 zeros on the end of the 8, giving us 800. So therefore, we've multiplied both by 100 to give us a grand total of $800. Okay, question 16c. After the holiday, the exchange rate is £1 is every $1.75. She needs to convert $150 back into pounds. Well, if I was going to turn pounds into dollars, I would multiply by 1.75, and if I was going to convert dollars to pounds, I would need to divide by 1.75. So, of course, we're converting her $150 back into pounds, so therefore I need to divide by 1.75 into calculators, would give you an answer of 85.714285. But your answer needs to be in pounds, and we know that money has 2 decimal places. So it doesn't need to round up to 72 because of the 4 next door. So she would get back £85 and 71 pence. Okay, next question. 17a says use your calculator to work out each of the following. Find the button that has the square root with the tick sign on it, and then 334.89 to find the square root of, which gives you a total of 18.3. You should know where the brackets are on your calculator, so opening and closing the brackets carefully, plug this into your calculator and see if you can match my answer of 8.36. Don't take my word for it, you need to make sure you know how to use your own calculators. So plug it in and see if you can get the same. This one, you can open a fraction button, or you can of course press 0.5, times it by, open up your brackets and close them again, and see if you can get an answer to match mine of 0.65. Okay, question 18, it says shade in 3 squares so that the shape has a rotational symmetry order 2. So that must mean the shape's got to look the same when it's upside down, and of course when it gets back to 360 degrees on a full turn. So these are my 3 squares that I'm going to shade. One there, and then another one there. And then you can check this by turning your paper upside down. Does this shape look the same upside down as it does when it's back to this position again? I think you'll find that it does. Okay, question 19. The following letter cards are put into a bag. A card is picked out at random. Write down the probability that the letter L is on it. The easiest way to do this for the probability is give the fraction. So we need to count how many letters have an L on it. So that's 1, 2, 3 cards have the letter L on it. And then the probability is how many would it be out of in total. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that gives me 8 cards. So the chance of an L being picked out is 3 out of 8. Write down the probability that it does not have the letter P on it. So there's only one card that is a letter P. So not a letter P will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And probability, remember, has to be given as a fraction. So 7 out of 8. Okay, moving on. Question 20a. Complete the table of values for y equals 2x, take away 1. This means 2 times whatever number x is. Take away 1 will leave us with our y value. So if it's 0, 2 times 0 is 0, minus 1 puts us on minus 1. And if 2 needs to go into here, 2 times 2 is 4. Take away 1 would give us an answer of 3. Okay, 20b says draw the graph of y equals 2x minus 1. Well, 2x minus 1, you've got the same equation. So this table here gives us the coordinates that we can plot for the line of y equals 2x plus 1. So if x is minus 2 and y is minus 5, we plot carefully along minus 2 and down to minus 5, which is there. Next one, minus 1 with minus 3, so we go along minus 1 and down to minus 3, like that. 0 with minus 1, 1 with 1, 2 with 3, and 3 with 5. Okay, and then of course don't forget to join up your points. It's a straight line, so one nice straight line would give you the line graph of y equals 2x minus 1. Okay, moving on. Question 21, work out the volume of the cuboid. So the volume is multiply length by width by height. So if I multiply 11 by 3 by 4, into your calculators, no excuse, gives you an answer of 132, and the units are already here, centimetres cubed. Next one, solve the equation 3 brackets 2x plus 4 plus 8 equals 50. So I'm going to ignore this bit and I'm just going to multiply out my bracket first. As soon as I see a bracket, multiply it out. So 3 lots of 2x would give me 6x, and 3 lots of 4 would give me 12. And then you've got your plus 8, of course, at the end, which equals 50. Okay, tidying this up a bit, add your 12 and your 8 together to give you 20. Okay, now we just need x on its own, so we need to undo the plus 20 first. So 6x would be 50 minus 20, which leaves us with 30. And then this is a nice simple equation. 6 times something equals 30, but we know 6 times 5 equals 30. So x equals 5. Okay, next one, number 23. Here are John's marks in 2 tests. He's got 18 out of 25 in test A, and he's got 30 out of 40 in test B. Which test gives the higher percentage mark? You must show your work in. So if John got 18 out of 25 on his exam, you can open up a fraction button and type it in 18 out of 25, or you should know this line here means divide, so you could do 18 divided by 25. That would give us the decimal, so of course if we want the percentage, we multiply our answer by 100 to get an answer of 72%. So that was for test A. Do the same for test B. He got 30 out of 40 in test B. Multiply your answer to 30 out of 40, or 30 divided by 40 by 100. We get an answer of 75%. So which is that higher percentage mark? B gives the higher one of 75. Okay, question 24. It says the diagram shows a kite. Angle C is 50. Angle A is a half of angle B. Work out the size of angle A. So if I was to say that this angle here was an X, then angle A, it says, is a half of angle B. So if I've got X, then double X would be 2X. And in a kite, these two angles here are always equal. So if angle B is 2X, that must mean angle D is also 2X. Now I need to set up an equation to help me find out the value of X. So it's a quadrilateral. So in a quadrilateral, there is a grand total of 360 degrees. So add up what we've got. We've got 2x plus 2x's plus an x plus a 50 has to give me a total of 360 degrees. So tidy this up. 2x plus 2x plus an x gives me 5x's plus 50 equals 360. Undo the plus 50 first, so take away 50. So 5x's would leave me with a total of 310. And then the opposite of times 5 would be to share by 5 now. So x would be 310 shared by 5, which gives me a total of 62 degrees. Don't try and do it without your calculator. You make life hard for yourself. Put this into the calculator. And you get the answer. X is 62 degrees. This top angle is 62 degrees. Okay, question 25. It says work out the area of the triangle. So area of a triangle is worked out by base times height. Don't forget to divide your answer by 2. So the base is 8.6. The height is 5.2. And you have to half your answer. Okay, and you get an answer on your calculator of 22.36. Read it carefully. It says give your answer to 1 decimal place. So therefore, 1 decimal place means this 6 makes this round up to 0.4. Okay, 26. Show that the equation x cubed plus 8x equals 30 has a solution between x equals 2.2 and x equals 2.3. So if it's going to come between these two numbers, that must mean that x, when it's 2.2, is too small, and when it's 2.3 is too big. So we need to prove this now. So we're going to use our calculator to work out 2.2 cubed plus 8 times 2.2. Very carefully into your calculator. You should know where the cubed button is. It's the button with an X and a little 3 on it like that. So the answer we get is 28.248. If I'm trying to get an answer of 30, then yes, this is too small. Now we're going to try and prove that 2.3 is going to be too big. So same method, 2.3 cubed plus 8 times 2.3. Into your calculator carefully, you'll come out with an answer of 30.567. Make sure that you do practice this, type it in to see if you do come out with the same answers that I have. So if I'm aiming to get 30, then 30.567 is going to be too big. And for 2 marks, you've proved that it does come between it because this one's too small and this one's too big. Okay, next question, 27. Mark went fishing on 4 Saturdays. Get your head around the table, read it carefully before you rush in and read the question and answer. Work out the mean number of fish caught per hour in week 1. So they have highlighted it, but it's still quite tricky to miss this information. So the mean number of fish caught per hour in week 1. So we've got an answer there was 4 fish caught in week 1. And we're going to be dividing by, so if it's per hour, he fished for 2.5 hours. So we're going to be dividing the total number of fish caught by the amount of hours, 2.5 in your calculator, would give us an answer of 1.6. Mark says, one of the fish I caught weighed 5 kilograms. In which week did this happen? Give a reason for your answer. Okay, well, if I've got week 1, okay, he caught 4 fish in week 1, and if I multiply that by the mean, that would give me a total of fish that weighed 4.8 grams. So, of course, it can't be in that week then. For week 2, he caught 1 fish. His mean was 2.3 kilograms. So that would only give me 2.3 kilograms. So fish could not be in that one. Week 3, he's got 3 fish. He's got 6 fish, sorry, in week 3 with a mean total of 0.8. So if you multiply 6 by 0.8, it'll find you the total weight of the fish, which is only 4.8, so we're still not there. So week 4, he's got 3 fish, which weigh 1.9 as a mean. So if I multiply the 3 fish by the mean, 1.9, you get an answer of 5.7 grams. So yes, it's possible that he could have caught the fish in week 4 because it's the one that's over 5 kilograms. Okay, question 28. Work out the length of x. So this question's a Pythagoras question where you know a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This is your Pythagoras formula. So this is the hypotenuse. It's the longest side that you want to find. So c is the longest side. So we do, and they called it x in there, so I'm going to stick with it x so it doesn't confuse you. X squared equals this one squared, so 8.2 squared, plus it to this one squared, so that's 3.5 squared. Okay, well in your calculators, 8.2 squared gives us 67.24, and 3.5 squared gives us 12.25. So, tidying this up a bit, we need to now add these two numbers together. So we've got 79.49. And then, of course, x squared is 79.49, but I don't want x squared, I just want what x is. So the opposite of squaring something would be to square root. And the answer to the square root of 79.49 is 8.9157, and so on. Okay, so I think 8.92 is a suitable degree of accuracy to give it to. These expressions represent 3 numbers. So we've got x, x plus 3, and 4x. Work out the mean in terms of x. Give your answer in its simplest form. Well, the mean is when you add the numbers together and divide by however many there are. So there are obviously 3 numbers going on here, and we need to now add these together. So we've got an x plus x plus 3, which is this number, plus 4x, which is this number. And we need to divide by however many numbers there are, and in this case, 1, 2, 3 numbers. So tidying this together, we've got 1, 2, we've got 6 x's, plus 3, divide by 3. Okay, now we need to cancel this down as much as possible, so if I've got 6x divided by 3, that gives me 2 x's. And if I've got 3 divided by 3, that gives me plus 1. Okay, question 30. Matt made this spinner. He spins the arrow 200 times. How many times would you expect the arrow to stop on the number 5 if it's a fair spinner? So with there being 5 sections and he spins it 200 times, so 200, share it out amongst 5 sections, gives me an answer of 40 times. so I'd expect 40 of each number to come out, which adds up to 200. The table shows the number of times the arrow stops on each number. Do you think this spinner is fair? Give a reason for your answer. So it does look like a number 3 has come out more than any other number. Okay, so we're going to figure out then if this is true or not. So as well as a 3 looking too high, it also looks like a 4 could be too low. I'm just going to use this one here. So I expected it to come out, of course, 40 times. So we could say that the 27 out of 200, it's not as close to the expected 40 out of 200, so therefore no. Okay, and that's the end of the paper.